Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the True Crime Grapple Show. My name is Dan, and it's a bonus show for you. Actually, it's more of a celebration. Why are we celebrating? Well, news came in last night. In fact, let me set the scene for you. I'll set the scene. Last night, I'm in bed, and I'm on my Facebook, on the phone, as you do, just before you go to bed, and I'm looking down the old crime line, as I call it, as opposed to the timeline. And I see an article posted by a friend of mine about one Richard, the piece of shit Huckle. Who is Richard Huckle? Well, back in episode 5, way back in episode 5 of the True Crime Grapple Show, I did Richard Huckle, which was episode 5, and it was actually part of a 2-part miniseries. Episode 4 was on Matthew Folder, and the miniseries was covering deep web paedophilia, which I thought was a really kind of a subject that a lot of people might not really be aware of, and how big it is and quite terrifying it is. Now, Huckle was a British man, and he abused as many as 200 children in Malaysia. He was an absolute monster, right? I wouldn't even call him a human, a man, an animal. And animals, I mean, that's just an absolute shameful thing to say to animals, to compare them to this absolute monster. Let me just read from the BBC website, okay? This is directly from their webpage, breaking the news. Now, quote, "A British man jailed for numerous sex crimes against Malaysian children has been found stabbed to death in prison. Richard Huckle, 33, from Ashford, Kent, abused as many as 200 children. In 2016, he was given 22 life sentences after admitting 71 charges of sex abuse against children aged between 6 months, you heard that right, 6 months and 12 years, between the years of 2006 and 2014. It goes on to say, quote, "It is understood that he was attacked on Sunday in his cell at Full Sutton Prison near York with what has been described as a makeshift knife, or as you and I commonly know it, as a shank. Police were called shortly after 12:30 p.m. and have launched an investigation into his death, which they are treating as suspicious." Well, no shit there. Huckle's trial at the Old Bailey in 2016 heard that investigators who checked his computer found more than 20,000 indecent pictures and videos of his assaults. So this isn't child porn that's been circulating around the web or the dark web. This is his assaults. It goes on, the article. "They were shared with paedophiles worldwide through a hidden website on the so-called dark web. Huckle, who worked as a freelance photographer, tried to make a business out of his abuse by crowdfunding the release of the images. He was compiling a paedophile's manual at the time of his arrest in 2014. At the end of his trial, Judge Peter Rook said Huckle's sentence reflected the public abhorrence over his campaign of rape. He said, quote, "It is very rare indeed that a judge has to sentence sexual offending by one person on such a scale as this." Huckle was arrested at Gatwick Airport by National Crime Agency officials in December 2014 following a tip-off by the Australian authorities. May I just say, cut in here, the Australian authorities into child sex crime are absolutely at the top of their game, have been for years. They're fantastic. Huckle probably wouldn't have been found for a few more years had it not been for the Australian authorities. So that has to be mentioned. Article goes on. He presented himself as a practicing Christian and first visited Malaysia on a teaching gap year when he was 18 or 19. So this is hence his name, the gap year pedo. He went on to groom children while doing voluntary work. In online posts, Huckle had bragged, quote, "Impoverished kids are definitely much easier to seduce than middle-class Western kids. which indicates to me there, and I think I mentioned it in episode 5, that he'd probably tried it on with a kid from England or the UK or wherever. Where were we? Sorry, I just lost my spot there. Oh yes, here we go. Commenting on one of his victims, he boasted, quote, "I'd hit the jackpot, a 3-year-old girl as loyal to me as my dog, and nobody seemed to care." Huckle's encrypted paedophile manual was found on his laptop, ready for publication on the dark web. It then goes on to say BBC Three produced a documentary about Huckle, which explored his proximity to children in Cambodia, India and the UK. I don't know if I've actually seen that documentary, but anyway. The article continues. In it, retired police officer Jim Gamble, who, oh yes, I know Jim Gamble, well, I don't know him personally, but seen him, the guy seems like a legend, does a lot of good work. Jim Gamble, who used to lead child abuse investigations in Britain, called for a more extensive investigation into potential abuses in the UK. Full Sutton is a maximum security men's prison around 11 miles east of York that holds, quote, "some of the most difficult and dangerous criminals in the country," according to the Ministry of Justice website. It has a total capacity of around 550 and holds only Category A prisoners whose escape would be considered highly dangerous, and Category B prisoners whose escape must be made very difficult. Last August, 100 officers were called when a prisoner went on a rampage, attacking staff and starting a fire. That's basically all the article says with regards to Huckle. Right, my thoughts. Because, excuse me, must apologise, I've been recording the episode for next week and my voice is a little bit horsey, so it tends to happen when I'm recording for a few hours. But you're still going to be able to make out what I'm wanting to say, and I'm going to get my point across. And that, well, it's multiple points. This guy has been labelled one of Britain's worst ever paedophiles in history. That puts him up there with Jimmy Savile. I think I mentioned it in episode 5, and I meant to go back over my notes, but I was recording today and I didn't get around to it, and it's getting late here, and I just wanted to get this done and get it up because it's relevant as to what's happened, as it's only a few days old, or not even a day old, let's say. When Huckle was arrested, they confiscated all of his equipment from him, and probably to this day, I'm not even sure if they ever did get into it, but he had encrypted, double encrypted, triple encrypted, some thumb drives, some hard drives. So then 20,000 images and videos of him abusing children was the tip of the iceberg. I'm guessing the tip of the iceberg. I don't know that for sure, but the authorities who arrested him do think that. He never gave up them encryption codes, so they were never able to, 1, find out exactly how much more this he'd done, and 2, try and find the victims that he'd done it to then try and offer these victims some help. Now, Huckle got 22 life sentences. Now, this is the bit that's going to really piss you off, because it pissed me off, and you can tell right now I'm fucking pissed off. Huckle got 22 life sentences, right? But he was to serve, I believe, was it a maximum of 25 years or a minimum? It must have been a minimum. But it boils down to basically he had a chance to get out. Now, would he have ever got out? I highly doubt it with his track record. However, whether it's something to do with the British justice system, get it, in the way that they have to be kind of almost politically correct in a sort of way where they have to sort of make it seem like to the offender that they can be rehabilitated, and if they rehabilitate they might have a chance of getting out. Maybe that's what it is. If I was that judge, or maybe it's not down to the judge, but the British justice system in this case scenario or similar to it should just have thrown away the freaking key. This guy should never, it should never have been put out in the public domain that this guy might have had the opportunity to get out. Absolute scandal. That's that thing that I've said there. You know, I'm getting a few things off my chest right here, and once again, this is a bonus show. Very impromptu. I just decided to do it, but I've been thinking about what I want to say all day, and now I'm kind of coming to the crunch. I haven't really wrote anything down. It's hard for me to really get a lot of things I want to say off my chest, because it's a it's a subject that everybody that's listening to this show right now and is a fan of true crime, the cases that are hardest to take are always the child abuse ones. They certainly are for me. Being a dad and all that sort of stuff that goes with the territory. You know, children, in society, we have to protect them as adults. So everything that I'm saying, and I'm struggling to get some of it out, is very heartfelt. And it cuts close to the bone, because it could be my kid. That being said, let's get back to this guy. Huckle is dead. And I, for one, I'm completely happy about it. Whoever did it, I tell you what I hope happens. I hope there is one of these little investigations where, you know, there's no proof. There's no proof. I'm assuming it must be obviously cellmate that they're holding. They obviously haven't released that, and they probably will do. But his cellmate, or whoever it was that done it, and it's all speculation, we don't know anything yet, but let's be honest, they've done us a favour, because nobody, absolutely nobody, is going to miss this monster. He's just using up taxpayer money. He is using up yours and my oxygen, and not only that, he has left an absolute wake of abuse, pain to a community in Malaysia, certainly, and there's also links that they thought that he might be involved in Cambodia and India as well. So who knows the exact extent of Richard Huckle's deplorable acts, and maybe we will never know. But I'm going to go back again to the British justice system. Shame on them for basically turning around and kicking the Malaysian community in the guts for putting such a paltry sentence on this guy, when they should have just thrown away the key. And if I had it my way, it would have been death by a different way, put it that way. And it involves a very blunt blade to a piece of anatomy just below his waist. I think you know where I'm going with that. Listen, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. It's 10:05 p.m. here. I want to get this uploaded and released tonight, and I got to get to bed, get to work. I hope you enjoyed the bonus episode. I'm certainly on a bit of a high after this news, and I know it might not seem very humane for me to be sitting here talking to you guys about me being happy that someone has been killed. Let's get one thing clear from my perspective, and that is that these people, these monsters, these pedophiles, if you're American, it's tomato, pedophile, it equals the same thing, and that is a piece of shit. These people cannot be rehabilitated, in my opinion, and that is what I'm doing right now. These are my opinions I'm giving to you guys. You don't have to agree with me, but I think a lot of you will, a high percentage of you will, and I'm just getting my thoughts out there about that. Richard Huckle was a monster, that's putting it nicely, and there's no doubt, as he scurries around in the bowels of hell, that the devil's probably got a special little corner just for him. And that's all I wanted to say about it. So, no one's going to miss this guy. And I hope you've enjoyed the episode. We've got some good stuff coming up, guys. We also put out a bonus episode today. Another bonus episode. 2 bonus episodes in one day. That's like never happened in the history of True Crime Grapple. We've never released 2 episodes in one day. Never happened in the history of True Crime Grapple. But today it has happened with breaking records. And that bonus episode that was released earlier was with True Crime Grapple writer Jim Pitts, and it was on the KFC murders, which was his first full contribution to the show in terms of writing. He does so much more for the show, and that has been growing as the more we've gotten to know each other. He's our top guy. So I encourage you to go and check that out. If you're interested in checking out the actual episode, the KFC Murders, that is episode 12. You'll find it on this feed here. And then go and listen to the bonus episode. And it also has Jim talk about a personal connection within the case with one of the victims. So it's well worth checking out. I think we go for like about an hour and 7 minutes or something like that. It's a good conversation. You can check us out on our social media. At Facebook and Instagram, we are at True Crime Grapple, and our Twitter is at TCG3682. There's lots of stuff going on. You can go on the Facebook page, request to join, and on there you'll get a number. I might actually put it in the show notes here, but there's a number where you can leave a voicemail for the show, and we'll play it on a future episode. And also, if you can, just finally, if you've got the time, get on over to iTunes and give us a little 5-star rating and a nice review, and that'll help the show keep bumping up the ranks as we have been doing in the past few weeks. But that is going to do it for me. I've said what I wanted to say, and it felt good to get it off my chest because I've been thinking about this all day. Heard that news last night in bed, got to work today, and was just thinking about the things I wanted to get off my chest, because a little bit of prison justice can just be the sweetest news at times, can it not? I've been your host, Dan, and you all stay safe out there. I'll see you next time. Cheers.